Well, hello everybody. So I thought I'd jump on here today and give you a short story about cyclamen hybrids, cyclamen persicum hybrids in fact. And I've got another couple of stories, probably a little bit more like facts, that I thought were quite fascinating. And of course I don't want to miss out on a chance of showing you how fantastic they look at this particular time. I know I did a recent video on cyclamen, but they look even better now. And while we're talking about cyclamen and blooms in particular, just have a look at these behind me. We've got a couple of impatiens at the back, or impatiens, and of course we've got this Phragmipedium bessii here, which I'll just zoom the camera the other way around so you can have a closer look at those before we get over onto the cyclamen persicum stories. So let's get started. So this one is just opening up now. I don't want to spoil it by peeling it away before it's ready. Always a real stunner, and just in the background there you can see all the impatiens. So we've got Niam niamensis, that's that one, and I have fed these with like a nitrogen rich feed. I just use the orchid feed, to be honest, that seems to do the trick. And you've got this other one over here which I can't remember the name of, bicordata, something like that, I can't remember. I'll put it under the screen there so you can see, well, not under the screen, on the screen, at the bottom of the screen, so you can see it. Video isn't about this, so we'll just move along over to the cyclamen and you can see what I'm talking about while I talk about the stories. So these are looking really superb at the moment. We'll just have a quick look at them before I actually get into the stories. So all of them are hybrids of Cyclamen persicum. Some of them have like cultivar names, which I can't remember, and I don't want to spend too long looking at the cultivar names. Just hybrid that one, I've not got a name for that one. This one I like in particular because it has really fabulous marbled variegated leaves, which is always a bonus with any kind of a plant, as you might have seen in my recent video on variegation. This one, look at the number of blooms, absolutely fantastic. And we've still got plenty more to come at the bottom there. I'll just give you more of a sweeping shot of what these blooms look like. And then we'll move along to this one. I like this one in particular because I just like the way the pink is graduated up the bloom. Absolutely beautiful. And you can see that the feed that I've been giving them really does seem to be working. I mean, just look at these. These are wonderful. I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to grow these. Now, this one over here is particularly special. It does look a little bit like this one. There is a difference. You can see that on this one, it's not quite as pronounced or not quite as dark as this one. This one we have like a whiter edging, white in the middle, moving up to a darker pink at the top. It's almost striated. You can just see the lines on the beautiful thing. This one is scented. I have mentioned before in the past that these were scented or are scented in the wild, and obviously the breeders over time have bred that scent out of them. Well, they're now trying to put it back in, which is very much a welcome thing. Now this one over here, I think I overfed it, because usually when you overfeed, what you tend to end up with is lots and lots of leaves at the expense of blooms. So this one is beginning to come. It's a little bit late, but just look at the feathering on the petals on that one. Now, isn't that an unusual one? You don't tend to see that kind of thing, not for a long time anyway, certainly not around here. I've seen them in the past, that's what I mean by not for a long time. Certainly the last few years, the availability of the feathered edged type of cyclamen seems to have declined. Hopefully it's coming back again. So let's just move along and have a look at these. A couple of fairly new ones, only had them a few months. So these have had one flush, now they're getting another flush of blooms. And then this one over here, which has very, very feathered edges, and it's a real crinkled mixture of all sorts of things going on there. Very unusual blooms, and that's got plenty down there. This one over here, the one that I actually sprayed with a chemical early on, which I won't do again because the sulphur's done its job now, and you can see these are all beginning to come. And this one is my biggest tuber out of all the ones that I've kept from previous years. So that one will look absolutely brilliant once that all comes into its full bloomage. You can just see the tuber down there, how big it is. It's a real big tuber. It's probably about 12 to 15 centimetres across. Very pleased with that one. So let's get into these stories and just tell you a very short, I mean, they're really, really short, these stories, you know, don't expect a full 10-minute thing here. It will only take me a minute at the most to tell you each. So let's have a go at explaining some of the stories about cyclamen that I've read about when I was doing the research for the previous video. So story number one, and this is actually true. So the Bedouins of Palestine used to collect the tubers. The reason they did that was because apparently the tubers are like a mild poison if ingested. They only work really on smaller animals. I don't think, I mean, it probably won't do you much good if you start eating them, but I don't think it would cause humans too much damage. But what they used to do with these tubers is they would grate them and then mix them with lime. They'd then sprinkle this on the various bodies of water where they would be able to collect the stunned fish which would rise to the surface. So that was a really neat way of doing their fishing. I'm not so sure that I'd want to eat one after that. I believe it was outlawed at some point, but that's what they used to do. Mild poison. So don't go licking your tubers. So that's the first kind of story fact. The next one along is that the tubers of Cyclamen persicum were also used as a soap in the past. So what you can do with a tuber, if you've got one that you don't particularly want anymore, you can give this a go. You can actually use pieces of it to form a lather, and you'll then be able to use it as a soap. I don't know how good that is. It might be worth a try. I would definitely avoid licking it just in case, you never know. And moving on, apparently in antiquity, Cyclamen persicum was also recognised for its therapeutic virtues due to the presence of cyclamen, a bitter substance with purgative powers. Now that word purgative brings into mind all sorts of nasty things that can happen to you, but apparently, and this is the text that I read about this, is that it would be used as the basic remedy for, and I quote, depression, hidden sorrows. Hidden sorrows. We've all got a few hidden sorrows, haven't we? Or, and listen to this one, when one is turned in on oneself. Goodness only knows where they got that quote from. It sounds like something from the Middle Ages. So, depression, hidden sorrows, or when one is turned in on oneself. Well, again, I'm sure we're all turned in on ourselves at some point. Well, a little bit of cyclamen will do the trick. And of course I say that in jest, you know, this isn't a Donald Trump moment where I'm asking you to drink bleach. And the final little fact I've got for you here, as we just pan out to have a look at the full display along with orchids that you can see. Oh, I've not mentioned this one at the end here, have I? So this really deep pink one is similar colour to the one I've got at the other end, but you can see how tall the leaves are on this one. And I guess this again is something to do with the spray earlier on in the year, but at least it's come for me, and it is absolutely full of blooms. You can just see it next to the Oncidium sotoanum there, which is going rather nicely in between all the cyclamen. So you can just see them all in their full glory there. So the final little fact, the shortest of the lot, is that cyclamen's bitter roots were once enjoyed by wild pigs, earning it the nickname of pig bread. So in future, if I'm talking about pig bread and all the different pig breads that I'm overwintering or over-summering in the case of cyclamen, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know if people find this interesting or not. I find it interesting. Growing plants is great. Learning about how to grow them is great. But a few little stories into the mix, or a few little facts like that, unusual and surprising facts into the mix, certainly help me to get a little bit more enjoyment out of them. So let me know what you think. Only a short one today. And for now, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.